Hi everybody, how you doing? It's me. Still have no clue what we're doing on episode 50. And welcome back to the guide. In today's episode, we're gonna build one of the easiest farms to build in the world, but we'll make it cool. While doing all that, we'll talk tips, tricks, strats, and love and design too. You know, I gotta admit, you guys were right. You were so right for so long, and I didn't listen. I'm sorry. Bonzo is so happy nowadays. Now that the house is like fully decorated up and interiored, we got a map on the wall, bookshelf on the floor, couch in the centerpiece. Like, it feels good. It feels really cozy. And actually, like, no lie, it makes me like in love with this world even more. It's crazy how something so simple can do that, right? I'll admit it though, one big problem I'm still having with the house is this storage room. Yeah, I organized it, but it's still a little hard to find everything. It's like I need more space or something. Oh, Camelot, your partner. No, I didn't forget about you. I ask you a question. Do you know where my sugarcane is? I know I have some sugarcane left over at this base. It's not a lot, but, you said checking a house. Aha, sugarcane. It's not a lot, but it's a start. With a little bit of sugarcane, some tiny bits of stone, I think we can crack on with the build. I have a dream, my friends, and I've had this dream for legit like 4 years now. 4 years going and counting. Hopefully today we'll finally be able to achieve that long-awaited, much-requested dream. Actually kind of got close in the 1.18, 1.19 survival world, to be honest. The real ones, I salute you. You may remember Minecraft Survival, the bamboo, beautiful, the sugarcane, I meant to say sugarcane beauty that we set up. It was strong. It was solid. Oh, baby, it was tall. Or, like, kind of tall. It was maybe more so square than tall, but it's a close concept. I want a tall sugarcane tower, as far as the sky can see. Our lovely little world over here is coming along quite nicely. I love how cozy it's starting to feel. It's like the more builds that I get in, the more views that I kind of start to block off, the more small, the warm and cozy it feels. Imagine a world where I could see no more cherry trees. Nothing against them or nothing, but no more cherry trees. Instead, though, we have a tall, looming tower, standing not so ominously right behind that building, even taller than the tallest tower in this half of the land. The vision, the heart, the soul, the ethos. I'll be honest, I don't know if ethos is like the correct word for that spot right there, but it feels right. The idea, the proof of concept, it's there. Imagine a world where we say, have our building, maybe starting like right there or something, couple blocks away from this one, so I could of course come back in later, add a garden, maybe a road going up the hill, you know, something like that. After that, I want to of course make sure this build has a little bit of like volume, a little bit of space to it, something like that. What if maybe we had like one section of 3, one section of 3, and one final section of 4? No, one final section of 3. And maybe just to make sure we don't have problems with the iron farm, we move it over a little bit. A little bit of red water, sweat, and no tears. This really wasn't that emotional at all, and we have a build site looking something like this right here. I feel like with the sizing looking like this is gonna capture perfectly like sturdy, but also not really like wider than it is tall. If I were to say maybe jump on this and add, I don't know, like 4 blocks to it, maybe a nice arch, and a nice arch after all. 3, perfect for an arch. Using a small handful of the resources available immediately around me. So like things like stone. I think stone could look really nice here, keep it nice and strong looking. Anyways, using some of the resources, combine a little iron, we could get the perfect looking arch shape in here. Considering the fact that it's built entirely out of stone, one of the hardest materials in the entire galaxy, I mean, that's a solid base to a hopefully really strong, tall, and beautiful looking tower. Yeah, you see, here was what I was thinking. For at least the starting part of today's build, a lot of stone. I think stone is gonna look really, really nice, and considering the tone of the sugarcane, and another block that I think I want to put on the sugarcane as well. Look, tell me if it's just me or what, but I don't know what it is about birch wood, but it's always giving sugarcane. Like, at least to me, anytime I see birch wood, the first thing, or one of the first things that comes to mind is like, I don't know, a sugarcane farm. Maybe it's like the classic Minecraft player in me or something like that, but I feel like the tones just accentuate each other like literally perfectly. Throw stone in the mix there and you got the recipe for not only a cheap and efficient tall tower, but I think a pretty beautiful looking one too. Now while I start to grind in a little bit more of the build's foundation so we can finally get some sugarcane planted in and growing for the first time in almost 500 days in our world, I would like to talk about farms. Today's farm, though it is not going to be a fully automatic one, fully automatic sugarcane farms are definitely beautiful and very, very handy. I'll talk a little bit more about why we're doing it the way we're doing it and why you might want to do it that way a little bit later on, but for now, yeah, that's the thing. Always keep in mind, with any good farm you're setting up over at your base, especially a farm that is potentially so useful and important, make sure the farm is like placed in a spot where it's loaded in, so it can actually run while you're over at your base.
Huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not much yet. It's really not much at all, but it's coming to life. I can see it now. The big tower blocking off that whole open spot. It's gonna be beautiful. Alrighty here, so look here, listen. So far on the build, we've got a solid, strong base. I made some adjustments to it. It was looking a little bit tight, and then I was like, trying to think about how I want to actually pull off the corners a little bit later on. Build-wise, when the corner is just like one block instead of this like solid angle like this, it naturally looks a little bit weaker. Over on the inside of the build, I have a cherry tree paradise. I might have to adjust that a little bit later on, but then we move up to the top part of the build. Now moving up to this next part of the build, this is where the first or maybe second floor, the first sky floor will begin. And this is now time for my secret little weapon. I want to make this a big, tall, strong, gray tower. And however, I don't want it to all just be like cobblestone and stone variants. The secret weapon, andesite. I don't think we've used andesite on any of the major builds over here. Maybe small decoration variation pieces, but no proper andesite on the entire base over here, and that's sad. Andesite is a beautiful, beautiful building block. To add a little bit of, spice to the build, we'll go ahead and make this build pop out a little bit. And I was thinking maybe with andesite, and then on the andesite, on the outside, I could do maybe cobblestone walls and lanterns, considering I'm a big rich when it comes to iron nowadays, so not a problem at all. So a big if, I don't know if any of this is going to end up looking beautiful, but big if we end up pulling off the build like this, it'll end up looking a little bit something like that. I feel like from down here on the ground, so far so good. It's looking tall, sturdy, strong, and definitely gray for sure. The lanterns I would like to hopefully add onto the build will add a nice touch of color to it, and also a little bit of safety, because I want to keep the build open. Today's episode, it's not necessarily a building episode, but then again, if you think about it, every single episode of Minecraft is really a building episode. Ain't it, friend? In our non-building-y episode, one of the biggest tips that I could give you of all time for working on a large-scale build is, well, cost. If you can keep costs down, it will make the build a little bit more easy to do. But also, if you can keep your build cost a little bit relatively lower by doing things like big open walls, huge windows, things where you don't have to actually put blocks. Well, friend, if you can pull that off, it's all up from here. Your build will get even easier. So with the front-ish facade of this build kind of checking in, we can move on to the next part, and that's where I'm thinking maybe the birch wood could come in. On the inside of this build, to accentuate it a little bit more and maybe bring it to life, give it some color, I was thinking maybe pop some birch fences to keep the build open and cheap to build. I have so much extra birch wood from tearing down the swamp, but also, ethical code violations and non-violations. I don't want to cause any big problems here after all and get a citation. I will put the fences there to make it nice and safe so I don't fall out of the tower while I'm getting sugarcane. Finally in here, we could double up with maybe a little bit more archwork going on with the birch wood on the inside. Maybe do this cool little slab trick in the corner and then round it all out and do it again on every single side. And after that, at long last, it'll probably be about time for the floor. So I could just use plain old dirt. I don't know, if I was feeling fancy, I guess I could do pods, all coarse dirt, something like that. But I think plain old dirt will work perfectly fine for today's build. Fill the floor in with dirt all over the place and catch up the next part of the build. And who knows, maybe even invent a couple details as well. And we'll finally be ready to grow some cane. Let's go. At last, I really hope this isn't gonna end up being too close to this farm. I think if I maybe continue building it up, way higher than the farm, it should be good. Have, non-spawnable block staircases. But, hey, anyways, at last, I finally did it. However, with all the fences around here, I'm now fully trapped in here. I can't jump out or anything like that. For our way up and down inside of our sugarcane farm tower, what I was imagining is maybe dead center, so like that spot right here, we go ahead and have like a pole going from the bottom of the farm all the way up to the top of the farm. Then what I was imagining is all the way around this pole, maybe on every single side, we have an opening. So theoretically, if I was at the top, I could jump all the way down to the bottom. I think it could also be cool to strip those logs, and then even better, we'll put ladders on the logs as well. You know, so I could actually use it. Sugarcane farm, sugarcane farm. In Minecraft, there are many different ways one could set up a sugarcane farm. However, no matter what, you're gonna need water. If you want to grow sugarcane, it's an interesting plant. This plant needs to be planted directly next to water, and more specifically, on one of the flat sides too. So like, say a diagonal is not gonna work. Now, there are ways that you could trick the game into basically getting rid of the water, not updating the sugarcane, and hopefully it'll grow, but long story short, we're gonna need a little bit of water inside of this thing. For an optimal layout, I think we'll use this ground floor. For a little bit less of an optimal layout, but still a good layout that'll fill out the build fully, I think we'll use this upstairs floor. However, problem. So what I want to do on this build is have water dumping down and sugarcane planted in front of these windows. It grows tall, fills the building, and looks cool. However, as you can see here, I dump water down and it spills everywhere. It kills all the flowers. Look, it's expensive. It's a cost that I can hardly even afford right now, but cobblestone. I was thinking on this lower layer of the build right here, I could do a full cobblestone slab ceiling. Not only will the cobblestone slabs hold the water in, but it'll also get a nice ceiling in, while being like relatively cheap. One cobblestone slab ceiling later with some stone bricks for good measure and a little bit of detail, and I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. We could maybe hang some lanterns off of the ceiling later. Anyways though, back up top on this floor over here, it's sugarcane farm time. When it comes to our basic sugarcane farm layout for this floor, and I think for the next floor and the floor after, in order to make sure this floor and the rest of them look really, really good from the outside, and to make sure the tower looks like, you know, fully finished and fully filled in, how I think I want to start my sugarcane farm today is with a trench running all the way around the outside perimeter of this farm. Then I can take the sugarcane that I have and plant them on every spot except the corner. A little bit sad there, but in order to keep mobs from spawning inside of this farm, no big deal. We'll hide a lantern in each and every corner. After that, because of my placement, I'll be able to put more sugarcane right in here. Then taking a look at what I have here, if I put a water ring around this side right here, I could have sugarcane in the middle, which could be cool. And you know what? That's it. That's, I think, exactly what I want to do. I'll put a ring of staircases right here to hold the water into the inside and let sugarcane grow here as well. So this here is one of the most beautiful things about growing sugarcane, but also one of the most beautiful things about waterlogged blocks in general. If I waterlog these staircases, because of where the ledge is, the water will not spill out of the staircase, and also, because there is technically water here, it counts as a water source for a sugarcane. So the cool thing is, if we wanted to, we could waterlog all of this stuff and basically erase the water so I would never have to fall into it. I think it's a great idea for any sugarcane farm because running around in here, bobbing up and down, it gets to be really annoying. Now, there are a couple different ways. One could, say, get around the whole bobbing up and down thing. One could waterlog a trapdoor, maybe just like that on the floor. Or even float it up a little bit higher. But I think I want to waterlog the trapdoor. You could also, maybe a little bit cheaper, waterlog like slabs or something like that, but we're big fancy. It's a fancy sugarcane farm. This farm is forever. We'll waterlog all of the staircases as well. If I'm building with the trapdoors and I run out of iron, no big deal. All I need to do is take one quick step over to the iron farm and the beauty. It's almost actually all the way filled up one chest. That's pretty cool. It's even better considering the fact that since we built this thing for a long time, Project Hollow, we weren't even really over here at the base that much. So that's great. Once I waterlog all of the trapdoors, I'll come in with even more sugarcane, get it all planted all over the place, and then just like that, I've ran flat out of sugarcane. What I'm going to do in this next part is continue to build the next part of the build. So far, so good. We've got like one floor. It's very nice. Well, two floors. We kind of have two floors. Ground floor and the next floor. To continue the cobblestone border that I had on the lower part of the farm, but keep it nice and like tight up here, more stone and cobblestone walls. After that, I think what I could probably go ahead and do is begin it all again. I could take more andesite staircases, pop them out just like this, build up a little bit more, grab another wall, hang off at the side of the build, place a wall, a lantern, an andesite block, and finish it all up. I'll do it one more time, and then after that, I'll do it one more time. This is gonna be a tall farm. Now, while we continue to crunch out even more of today's build, I'd like to talk a little bit about why. Why in the world would you be farming sugarcane? Let alone, there's so much of it. As always, with any Minecraft farm, aside from complete and total sheer world domination, a great reason to farm the farm is to have more of whatever you're trying to farm. So for example, in today's case, a sugarcane. I want to have more sugarcane. Other than maybe being a beautiful plant that you could use to make your base feel even more cozy, terraform, decorate with it, sugarcane farm is great for really 3 main things. The first one, paper, that's kind of like self-explanatory and goes hand in hand with maps. You're building your beautiful base, and then you want to look at your beautiful base, so you want to build a big map wall. You build that beautiful map wall, but oh, it's expensive. Well, my friends, build a sugarcane farm, let it farm for a little bit of time, harvest it, and you'll have more paper than you could ever dream of. You could use that paper to make maps, or you could use that paper to make rockets. The elytra. The elytra is definitely a long-term goal of this world. I don't have one quite yet, but I've been dreaming of it ever since the inception of this world. With a sugarcane farm set up inside of your world, pair that with a gunpowder farm, and you've got infinite rockets, my friend. It's wonderful. The third big reason you'd maybe want to build a sugarcane farm, though, is actually emeralds. We could pair a sugarcane farm, a high productive, big sugarcane farm like the one we're building today. Well, yeah, we could pair one of these beauties with the perfect villager for a whole lot of profit. But more on that another time. Another thing you'll be forced to consider here is automatic versus manual. Which one should you choose, and which is better? So look, I hate to do it to you, I really do. I'm not a fan of answers like this, but there is no right answer. Do you like the idea of AFKing and raking in sugarcane really easily, like so easily you don't even have to do a thing? Because if that's the case, then automatic all the way. If you don't mind harvesting your sugarcane farm every once in a while, after all, the stuff is so easy to harvest, you don't have to replant or nothing like that, then maybe consider setting up a manual one, like I'm doing here today. To be honest, for a high-scale productivity and like really good rates, you're gonna want to build a sugarcane farm that is automatic, that has a flying machine and is big, over a big field with a minecart collection system. That's a whole lot of work. I'm not saying I'm never gonna get around to doing that inside of this world, because I do like that idea, it's cool. But I just don't know if I need that, to be honest, right now. I feel like setting up this tower, and even if I harvested only one floor of this tower every once in a while, I'll probably end up with more than enough sugarcane for like at least a long time. Also, I think this build would look way more cool than a flying machine field. Not gonna lie. As always, it's your call. It's your world. You do whatever you want to do with that thing. But personally, I think a manual sugarcane farm really isn't that bad at all. My eyes, my blue eyes, they well up with tears. It's beautiful. A sight that I could have never dreamed of dreaming of and seeing. The tower, the mighty sugarcane tower, standing strong, filling in our base even more. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm so happy with it. This is like my 4-year vision. It's finally real. No joke, I don't know if you know how serious I am when I say I've been dreaming of a build like this for so long, and finally I had the skills, the knowledge to be able to execute it and pull it off. Check this out. How you doing, everybody? It's me, Waddles, and welcome to my crib. And by crib, I mean my farm. I have this wall right here. I don't know what I want to put in the middle. I was almost thinking like maybe dark oak fences or something. That could be cool. I'm thinking also maybe like chests over here for storing sugarcane. Moving up into the farm, we have, oh wait, the ceiling. I think I showed it to you before, but we've got the ceiling. Moving up a little bit more, the next floor ceiling and the next floor. Look at this thing, it looks so good. That's right, backtracking a little bit. Check this out. This is what I was thinking with the farm, where you can kind of see it's like fully filled in because I have a solid row of sugarcane. The longer I let this farm do its thing, the more the sugarcane grows. It'll fill up, fill in, and I think look like a fully finished solid building. So that'll be pretty cool. Going forward into the future, anytime I need sugarcane, all I need to do is walk up here, punch the sugarcane, harvest it. I'm gonna slowly replant the sugarcane, so hopefully by episode number 50, hopefully by the time we're back for episode number 50, whatever we end up doing, we've got a fully finished sugarcane farm, fully planted in. So on this floor, I kept it simple. I did a little bit of stonework and some dark oak slabs up top to contain the water for the next floor. Over on the next floor, I did the exact same thing. I started planting the sugarcane. I got the same blocks up top. So right now, I'm really happy with how the build has been turning out today, but the top is admittedly a little bit flat. We gotta put the icing on the cake, the candle up at the top. The beautiful thing about a sugarcane farm is not only is it so easy to build, but they're so my bad. Like, if you got your source plant down, you don't have to, like, replant it or anything. You chop off the top two and you're good to go. Of course, just like with the lower layers, this top layer is going to be fully planted in as well. Sugarcane all over the floor. Now, this top layer, at first I was considering, like, putting, I don't know, like a ceiling or something on it and calling it good. But now I was thinking maybe, like what if maybe I just leave it open to the sky? Look, I leave it open to the sky. That way in the future, when I have stacks and stacks, I'm talking chests and chests full of sugarcane, I could come back in and expand the farm. Yes, make it even bigger, if my heart so desire. So I feel like here, the best way to start off finishing this farm is to basically repeat the pattern. I would have had cobblestone walls right here and then more stone up top again, but except this time, I don't have any more stone up top. Then I was thinking maybe in the corners I could do like andesite like that. Then I could maybe do cobblestone wall. And then a little build trick I've been doing on a lot of the builds. So it's not that I'm trying to theme this base as like a medieval base or nothing like that, but I'm so into these spikes right now. I was thinking maybe what I could do is follow this up, cap it all off with like a couple more spikes all the way around the side of the build. A little bit more andesite here as well, and I think it'll match the build perfectly, wrap the build up perfectly, and just be perfectly. You know what it is? It just hit me. These spikes, when I put them on the build, it almost gives me like almost like an Empire State Building vibe. I don't know what like the architecture style is. Maybe one of you guys know them, but like, kind of like 1920s, 1930s, like vintage, cool, fancy looking elegance. And I love it. Now, it's actually insane. Like, the views that I was catching from up on top of this build, look at this thing. You can see all the way into that field, like across the cherry blossom biome, which is like surprisingly not as like big or sprawling as I once saw all the way up here. I think technically speaking, before this episode, probably that tower over there was the tallest build that we built. Maybe this one, it would be close, but now by far it's not even close. The Sugarcane Tower, I need a proper name for it, but the Sugarcane Tower, it's by far the tallest build on both sides of the land. A little bit of buildy design stuff to cap it all off over here on the inside. This is what I was thinking. I'll basically repeat what I was doing down below, but like, this time up high. Thinking about it all now, though, this is probably really dark blocks up there, right? I don't know if the light reaches all the way. See, I feel like what I should do here, just in case, like just to be safe, is hide a lantern right there. That's not only gonna light up the whole top part of the build, but also, I think like at nighttime, like it'll keep all the bad mobs out and everything like that, but at nighttime, maybe the spikes and the whole top of the build will get lit up in kind of a cool, ambient way. Make it nice and fancy, So anyways, this sugarcane farm, the whole tower, I could continue planting every floor just like that and call it good. However, all the way down to the bottom, which by the way, I need like a safer, fast way down. Let's do that first. All the way down here at the bottom, first things first, we need a little bit of a water pool, I'm thinking, in the middle. I say the smart thing is we kick it all off with a little bit of staircases and set it down into the water a little bit. That could be pretty cool. After that, easy enough, we go ahead and do our thing. Infinite water all over the place, and then water inside of the staircases as well. By queuing this all up like this, I can go from the top of the farm all the way up there, jump down into the water, and I'll be perfectly safe the entire time. We'll put a log going into the water and... maybe down here at the bottom, a hint of the tree that formerly once stood here. Maybe perhaps a dramatic, romantic tribute to the former owner of this land. We take the wood and put it down there. That's cool. Now next up, after that, we've got a good solid floor in here, a lot of room. I could go ahead and do the spiral thing that we did on the other floors, but finally, what I want to show you here, right near the end of the episode, is the, technically speaking, most efficient way to place sugarcane down. We're going to start with a spot, and that's going to be where we put water. After that, we're going to go ahead and put sugarcane around it. If I didn't have the walls right there, I would do it on the other side as well. Then after that, we're going to imagine wanting a sugarcane plant right here and here. I'm going to dig out where I would need to put water and make it happen. Now after that, with this next one in here, we go ahead and plant sugarcane all the way around it, and then I would move over to this spot, and I want sugarcane right there. To make that happen, I dig that out and put water right there. And then more cane, just like that. Carrying on, looking at our grid here, maybe this spot wants to have a piece of sugarcane. If I want to make that happen, water right there. Look, if you want the professional way, the method for the kings of harvesting and planting sugarcane while conserving space, it's gonna be a little bit messy looking. But long story short, we gotta create a kind of like an interesting looking pattern. We're gonna pick a spot to start, and then we're gonna go up 2 blocks and over 1. Then we're gonna have water right there. After that, we're gonna go ahead and go up 2 blocks and over 1. Then we're gonna have water right there again. This is a pattern that we will continue till the end of time, or until we finish out the entire floor. Depending on how you want to do things, when putting in this pattern, it might make it a little bit easier on your eyes, your brain, your all of it, to like put the pattern in first and then plant the sugarcane. Or you should just do what I'm doing and go for the sugarcane from the start. Up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1. Carry out your pattern until you hit a time, and there you go. You have one small mess up somewhere. Good luck. And so after struggling through that mild headache of a floor design a little bit of time later, and I think I fixed it. I fully filled it in, slabbed over all the water, and we ended with a design that looks something like this. I'm pretty sure, again, kind of like with the higher up floors, once this thing fully grows up and fills in, it'll look marvelous. Now today, I would like to address today's comment of the day by fully and wholeheartedly agreeing with it. Ever since the glazed terracotta stuff was added to the game, which is, a side note, I think right around when I was starting to make Minecraft YouTube videos, ever since the stuff was added to the game, I've always thought that it kind of gives off this whole like 70s vibe or something like that. Right now, personally, in my personal style, I'm so influenced by the 70s. I think it's so cool and fascinating to me, like the big flare pants and everything. It's kind of fire. More on that on my Instagram. But yeah, no, 100% I agree. The kitchen in the house is so 70s. It's tacky. And I kind of love it. So anyways, in between episodes here, leading up to the big episode number 50, I've got 2 jobs. I have to finish harvesting and replanting this entire sugarcane farm. And I need to figure out what I'm doing for episode number 50. Around the build here, just a couple final details to slap in. Dark oak fences for sure, that'll look good. And actually, over here on the side of the build, I have these like weird open spots. I was thinking to solid it up and make the build look even more strong, but also cool looking. Maybe some cobblestone walls in there, that could look cool. Now on the build today, I was highly considering doing like mossy bricks in here and mossy cobblestone, but then I actually decided against it for once. I feel like the moss and stuff is really nice looking and a great way to like create some variation on the build and everything, but I want this to be like more like a modern, brand new skyscraper. Compared to like, say, maybe this house over here that's meant to look maybe a little aged and worn with the mossy cobblestone and everything. I don't know. I just feel like it looks maybe a little bit better and fits the vision without any moss at all. I think that's the first time I've ever said that. With a little bit of skill, expertise, and a whole lot of stone, maybe eventually you have yourself your own very tall skyscraping tower inside of your world. Filled up all the way with sweet, sweet sugarcane. I don't want to hype up my build too much right now, but I am so happy with how this looks. I can only imagine it with like sugarcane filled in all the way, all the floors. I'll get it done and it'll look even more solid. I'm so happy with it. I think the base is coming along so nicely. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something new. And what do you think about the build? Let me know. Until next time, it's been me, Waddles, with a brand new super tall build that I can't get enough different angles of. World download next episode for channel members and early access to every episode ever on Patreon. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.